Today on DNVR Buffs Live, the gang is almost back together. I almost got too ahead of myself there. Neely's back. It's the DNVR Pregame Show. Neely's going to take us inside day one of spring football. We're going to take a look at NFL draft fits for Shedeur Sanders post-NFL free agency. And can Colorado make an Indiana-type run in 2025? Let's go. Bodation. I don't know, man.
Squaw! What you on, man? You know we was waiting on you, man.
No, it's like, man, something crazy happened. Like, I don't know where my you went.
I don't know where it went. That's crazy. I'm dead.
Like in my mind, the you was right there. And
you should have seen me and Jake just looking at each other. Yeah. And he goes, and he goes, and he goes, What's good with you, Unc? How you feeling? Good to see you.
Feeling good. I tell you what, unlike what I saw at practice one, I know we get into it. We're gonna chalk that one up to rust. You know, this is first day back, and what you want is you want your first day to be your worst day.
Period.
So it's only up from here.
On God. Hey, and before we get into things, Unc, I want to give you your flowers, man. I want to tell you thank you. If nobody tells you today, Unc, that they appreciate you, I'm gonna tell you that I appreciate you. And I
appreciate you too, Unc.
Hell yeah. You might be like, why all of this sudden love from Scott, right? You might be like, what's going on? Why I'm thanking you is because you gave me an elite nickname. A nickname that has really gone beyond the pale of what I thought a nickname could be. You feel me? You can't just give yourself a nickname. You feel me? The best nicknames is the ones that somebody gives you. You feel me? And Scotty Deep Pockets is really taking off. And I have to give you your flowers for that. You feel me? Like, I had a story up yesterday. Somebody commented like, "This is real journalism. # Deep Pocket Report." I'm like, Deep Pocket Report? I'm like, I'm gonna have to use that. I'm like, that's fine. I ain't gonna lie. Somebody commented yesterday, like, talk about me like SDP. And I was confused. I'm like, SDP? I'm like, because, you know, they call Alyssa FDP, Funky Dope Producer. I'm like, you must be talking about Alyssa. And I'm like, and I put it together. I'm like, Scotty D Pocket. I'm like, that's fine. Shout out Unc, man. So I just had to let you know that, man. You a goat for real.
I had no idea where you were going with those flowers, but I'm gonna receive them. I'm gonna put them in a vase with water. I'm gonna make sure they get some good light on them.
Yeah.
Because hey, you nailed it. You cannot give yourself a nickname. Like, a nickname comes from how the world sees you. And I see you, Scotty, as not only the man with many pockets, because there's a lot of folks out there that can get pockets.
It's true.
But are those pockets deep?
Period.
You, my friend, not only have pockets, they are deep. You are Scotty Deep Pocket.
Period.
I love it.
That's
man.
love.
The DNVR Pregame Show coming to you live from the Toyota Lounge. I appreciate you too, because yesterday just wasn't the same. Going to practice, going to press conferences, and all that, and not seeing you.
For real.
Like, I missed you, man. I'm glad to see you today.
Yeah, glad to see y'all too, man. It's strange. Like, I'm back. Y'all are here, but we still haven't been together yet. And that typically takes place at the first practice. But let me tell the audience, like I told y'all, the reason I didn't make the presser, I was meeting with the offensive staff, particularly the offensive line staff. And again, I know we got a show to get to. We're going to get to it. But, man, I am so blown away by the chemistry, the connectivity, the communication, the professionalism of this three-headed monster in that offensive line room. There's no doubt about it. Make no mistake about it. Coach Gunnar White is the tip of that spear. But with Andre and George Hageman to bring it to the table, and to see all three of them for the first time coaching at practice one, then meeting with them after and hearing their post-practice communication, this offensive line is in some great damn hands.
I love it, man. And I want to dig into the coaching staff. But yeah, let's start with yesterday. We usually do the takeaways videos. Everybody loves them. We even had people in the chat yesterday wondering where the takeaways video was. How about this? Today we're just going to do a whole show talking about yesterday's practice. So that's what we're delivering today.
Yeah. Takeaways will be back Thursday. We'll get together. Again, Russ, you got to shoot a blaze out.
Exactly. Let's just start about, I guess, how we usually do takeaways then. I mean, what stood out to you on day one? Obviously, a lot of, player movement, a lot of coach movement. But Coach Prime's back in the building. You're back. I mean, there's a lot of familiar faces still. What was day one like just as a whole?
Well, I want to go back one additional day to what I call day zero.
Okay.
And which was Coach Prime setting the tone before practice even started, setting his expectations. And hey, to the world out there, sorry you guys can't get to see this. You just got to take my version of it because it was one of those no camera conversations that Coach Prime had with his team. And it wasn't a lighting into them. It wasn't like a come to Jesus meeting. It was just a statement of expectations for this year, and that we were one of the most penalized teams last year. And that is absolutely not going to happen this year. And it's going to start with the little things about discipline, being on time for meetings, being on time for your classes, making sure you go to treatment when you're supposed to, locker room not being in disarray. He was like, man, every little thing I can find, we're going to be on it this year because we're going to fix discipline issue. And again, it's not discipline like guys out there partying and, driving fast down the highway or something, but the discipline of little things, so we can fix this jumping off sides, fix all these penalties that really kept us from being the team we could have been. And in that next meeting, which was practice one day, both coordinators got up and they showed plays from the 4 losses that would have turned the game, including games that, hey, man, just one play didn't turn that game. But with the way they broke down the plays and showed, like, hey, look what this guy did right here. Just think if the job gets done the way we coached it. And there were even plays where the coaches said, that's on me. I put y'all in a bad situation. That'll never happen again. And so to have those things to set the tone for practice and then see the guys go out there. And what I'm doing, fellas, they tell you that comparison is the thief of joy. Well, all I'm going to do is compare. I got to compare spring 1 and spring 2 to now Coach Prime spring 3. Totally different tone. You have more leaders out there. You got more swagger out there. You got everybody in shape. You didn't see people tapping out of drills or throwing up. You got a coaching staff that has chemistry now. It was the kind of day one that you would expect from a Big 12 championship program, not the kind of practice you'd expect from somebody just hoping to have a winning season and make a bowl.
That's great stuff. And I think it's especially that message from day zero, right, was also echoed, I feel like, from Marshall Faulks' words in front of the team where he was like, listen, how you do anything is how you do everything. You know what I'm saying? And that goes into discipline. And I love that Coach Prime is harping on the fact that, this was the most penalized team in the conference last year. That can't be a trend that continues here in 2025. But, Unc, I caught a good portion of the morning run that you host with, obviously, Big Dog Chico and our boy Dukes. Y'all killing it. And obviously Coach Prime had a little cameo in that. And he said at one point, which was hilarious, by the way, y'all go check that out if you haven't already seen that. But Coach Prime pops in and he goes, I get to be only a coach. I don't have to be the coach and the father this season. How do you think that will manifest itself in terms of how Coach Prime kind of leads and coaches this team here this season?
One thing just from a time standpoint, man, what we all got in common, I don't care if you're Deion Sanders or Scotty Deep Pockets, we all got 24 hours in a day. And as successful as he was, 9-4 season, he had a player win a Heisman Trophy, had a player win the Unitas Award. The list goes on and on what they accomplished. He still had to find time in that day to be a dad too, dad to his biological children. And this is going to be the first season that's removed from his plate. And one of the things I can tell you, this is a guy that has worked with Coach Prime, because every time I say work for, he corrects me and say you work with. So I'm trying to adopt his language. One of the last things you want in your life is for this guy to have some free time. because when he has free time, it leads to some things taking place. So I'm looking forward to that just as well as he has, to see him navigate that space of, during this day, during this particular week, or doing whatever's taking place, I can just coach now. I don't have to be a biological father as well while this is taking place. So I think for some degree, there's a weight off his shoulder. Not that he's ever called fatherhood a burden by any means, but I think he's walking around the building a little lighter, a little more free time on his hands, which is not going to stay free long. It gets filled quickly with something else. So I think he's looking forward to that, man. And I was one of those ones that said, hey, coach, talking to him friend to friend, we don't know the impact that this is going to have on you. And I think I shared that with you guys before, that the emotional toll coming from not being around your kids like you're used to all of their playing careers, how is that going to weigh on him or not weigh on him? And I would say that right now, all the arrows are pointing up, having witnessed this, since January going into the spring ball. He's got a bounce in his step, more energetic, coming up with more ideas. He's also really said in front of the entire staff, if you work on the offensive side of the ball, Pat Shurmur is the head coach of offense. If you work on the defensive side of the ball, Rob Livingston is the head coach of the defense. So stop running to me with every little thing. Deal with your coordinators, because I'm going to go with what they say anyway. So he has strengthened the staff in that regard and set some boundaries up. And he's also said this, and again, this is going back to having that time that he doesn't have to just be a dad. He can just be a head coach. Just like he said in January, that when we get to spring ball, there's going to be some people around this coach's table and around this outside wall that are not going to be here. When we get to August ball, it's going to be some people that's not going to be here. Everything is under evaluation. I'm looking at everything, because we can't just win. We got to be dominant. And so I think that ties into, I got some free time now where I can just coach. So let me coach everything and let me be involved and not just have to worry about, okay, I got to coach here, be a dad in this situation. He's strictly CEO of the organization now.
I love it, man. And it's something that you and I talked about, Unc. I remember, coming back home on Stampede trips, just about, this season and, how Coach Prime would approach it, not having his kids. And just how you said it, like, I wouldn't call it a burden. Fatherhood's not a burden. And Coach Prime has obviously showed he's a great father to his kids. It's just that he's going to just be able to be more of a coach, as he said. And I think that that's going to really free him up. And another thing that you said, just comparing this year, day one of year 3 to day one of year 2 and year 1, I could even see the difference. It's just, you see the culture kind of already bleeding through. Like, Coach Prime called on Ben twice to break down the huddle at practice yesterday. You know what I mean? It's the stuff like that's like championship DNA, because you're actually seeing the standard go all the way down top to bottom.
Yeah, and I love that, man. And it's not like a fluke, or it's not for the cameras, or it's not like they have him boxing the quote-unquote great white hope. Ben has earned that. He's an original buff who I remember in that first meeting when Coach Prime was talking about the Louis luggage and who's not going to be here. And Ben was like, oh, I'm going to be here.
Period.
And Charlie Offerdahl, from a more faith-driven in his communication, he said the same thing. And look where they are. They're both here and both leaders. And Ben's motor is nonstop, and Coach Prime recognizes that in him. But I'm also tell you this, Jake and Scotty Deep Pockets, about this fatherhood thing. One of the things I said with Coach when he and I had a one-on-one conversation about it, I told him I was not only looking to see how he was going to navigate not having sons on the team, I'm looking at how the other coaches navigate, because I'm telling you, no matter how much we think it didn't take place, you have to recognize, well, I want to say something, but that is the coach's son. So should I say everything I want to say or not? Now, I don't have any evidence that was taking place, but just from human nature, you got to know it happened at some point. And so now you're in a situation where, hey, it's open season. You get to say and do what you want to do. And I'm looking at how coaches going forward would navigate not just the head coach's sons not being on the team. Now they don't have to worry about any ripple of it either, even though we know functionally that didn't exist. Human nature had to, at some point, be in the back of somebody's mind.
You're absolutely right, man.
It's scary to think about this team potentially getting a better version of Coach Prime.
Yeah.
And that is a scary proposition. For real. Should we smack a break?
To that point, man, I think that's exactly what is happening now in 2025. I've been with Coach Prime since his spring COVID season at Jackson State 2021. Mm-hmm. So that's 4 calendar years with 5 football seasons. And I will tell you, that this is the best I've ever seen him. Not only in the way he navigates, the way he moves, his energy, all of the health issues that he started facing at Jackson State with his foot and leg, that's all behind him, and now he just manages it. His energy, I think this is the best staff that he's had in totality. Since he's been coaching, everything that you look around that he touches, including himself. Pause. I don't mean that he touches himself, so someone's going to. But everything around him that he touches is better than it's ever been, including his physical, spiritual, and mental health. You could just see his energy in the building. I believe what you're saying, Scotty, to Deep Pockets. This is the best Coach Prime we've ever seen in 2025 as it relates to being ready to coach.
Ooh, that's scary.
Damn scary for the rest of the Big 12. All right, let's take our first break.
Shout out to the homies
Hello.
over at Bet365, man. The NBA season is in full swing. The NHL season is in full swing. The Denver Nuggets are back at Ball Arena tonight hosting Anthony Edwards and the
let's
Minnesota
go.
Timberwolves. So that should be a fire game tonight. Potentially a preview of a Western Conference playoff
be.
series. Very much so.
Also, shout out to the Buffs. Just won their second game in the Big 12 tournament.
The Buffs are rolling, man. Like I said, we were watching a little before the show started. They are on fire here lately.
If you bet on the Buffs, just straight money line, probably the last 2 days, you're
yes.
up a decent amount, at least today for sure.
100%. And so go check that out. Go place all your bets, whether it's college, hoops, NBA, NHL. Go check out our friends over at Bet365. It's breaking news from Bet365. New customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code DNVR365, deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 plus and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply.
It's another beautiful day. This might be false spring out here in Colorado right now.
Is that a thing? People be saying that?
Oh, yeah. March
Really?
is historically the snowiest month.
What?
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. False spring.
Bro, I don't believe that. March is historically the snowiest month.
Brother, I don't have time to get into this with you right now.
I can't wrap my mind around that.
Whether you're hanging out at the bar, the golf course, or just doing whatever outside, gotta have your Lucy nicotine with
Gotta
you,
have
man. They got all kinds of great flavors as well. My favorite's the mango. I like the apple ice. RK's a big fan of the mint. They also have espresso, tons more. You can get a whole sampler pack too if you go to lucy.co/DNVR. Use the promo code DNVR, and you'll get 20% off your first order. Lucy also has a 30-day refund policy, so if you change your mind, you can hit them up. Again, that's lucy.co. Use code DNVR to get 20% off. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age-verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Shout out, Lucy. All right, back here with Unc. Let's get into it, Unc. Yesterday, finally put on the helmets, went on the grass, tossed the football around. Lots of things that, need to be ironed out, this offseason. But yesterday actually was the start of it all. Just what stood out to you at practice, energy level wise, which players stood out to you as well?
Well, the first thing I got to address is to Scotty. Scotty, you listen to Jakey Poo there. This spring ain't real. This is a pump fake.
Yeah.
It's going to get in. I've been here now a couple of marches. And this when I look outside or walk outside, this is BS. I'm calling BS.
Snowiest month though, Unc.
But dog, I'm telling you, I don't know why, I don't know how, but it is.
Gosh darn.
Don't put the boots up yet.
Say less.
But Jake, I think that your question perfectly leads me to the answer. I love the energy as practice got going. I think when Ben breaks down the team in the beginning, that things were kind of flat. And I think the reason it was kind of flat when we walked out there is like, damn, it's colder than we thought it was going to be. Because, we were going to do the cold thing, and we were expecting about a 75-degree morning. It was about 56 degrees. And it was a little nippy out there. So everybody was dragging it first. But once the energy got going, that's what I recognized the most is the excitement from the staff and from the players equipment people, everybody. The energy was high. Once you heard those first sounds of pads and the drills getting going and the coaches coaching people up, I think that just got everybody going. And when I spent the post practice with the offensive staff as they broke down the film. And the beautiful thing about it, man, it just there were some plays or some moments that it really looked like football, but they were far and few between if you count in that was the first day, out there getting it on. So I thought the energy and the execution, which that spells to me some leadership. Like now you have more leaders on the team. You're not just counting on one or two guys, to be the standard bearers. You got depth in each position room. You got vocal people in each position room, and meaning you got people that'll call out BS when they see it. I don't know if Ben 2 years ago stands in front of the group and say, "Hey, the energy is flat,"
Right.
but he said it today. And not only did he say it, it didn't fall on deaf ears because people know Ben works his ass off. So I think you got enough people now in this locker room that are known as workers and seen for their leadership and their vocal with it, that it just set a different tone for day one, because there was no going through the motions. We're going to ease our way into this. This was a straight up real practice.
The leadership from a player perspective is exactly where I want to go here, because I want to talk a little bit about the best player on his team, and that's Jordan Seaton. He said something yesterday during practice that made me go, I've heard that before. And he goes, during practice, he's breaking the team down. He goes, y'all see somebody bullshit, call them out on it. Y'all see me bullshit and call me out on it. And I'm like, I heard Cameron Stomach-Craig say that last year before the season started. And that just speaks to the leadership being developed, obviously, from a young guy. We don't look at Seed as a young guy, but he is still a true sophomore. But he is looked at as a leader on this team. Can you just speak to what you've seen so far out of Seed and just kind of these new and emerging leaders that you kind of alluded to?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what happened for Jordan Seaton last year was a growing up fast, that he was a true freshman coming in with the weight of the world on him, and he responded to it well. Other than the first play of that spring game, which I think that happening really set the tone, for a wake-up call for him that this is the real deal now. Once he grew through that, and he had to also learn last year that just because I'm the youngest person on this line or in this room, that age doesn't have anything to do with maturity or leadership. So take command, be vocal, say something. And now having had a year of that under his belt, he has emerged as not just a leader on the offensive line or offensive side of the ball. He's looked at as a leader for this team. But I tell you guys, the beauty of this situation is there are 10 other Jordan Seatons out there now. You're probably more in a situation where you got to try to water somebody's fire down than to light a fire to get it going. You got to try to rein a guy in versus trying to motivate him up. I think you have more guys on this team that know what's at stake. They know how close last year was and what a bad taste that left, whether it was the bowl game or blowing the gift wrap chance of being in the Big 12 championship. You got enough people around that remember that it's like, hey, I don't care if it's me. Say something to me. And when you saw practice going on and practice starting to get a little monotonous as it's getting ready to wind down, you would hear younger guy, older guys saying, hey, come on, man, it's only 5 more of these reps. Let's just get it. Let's knock it out. Don't be last. You can see that kind of self-motivation and self-coaching. And I'm going to tell you what makes a championship team, Jakey Poo, when it's player-led. When you got players versus a coach having to say it, you're on to something special. And for that to be day one, when I look back at the past 2 day ones, Colorado Coach Brian, light years difference.
Coach Livingston has said it multiple times since he's been here in Boulder.
Yes, he has.
Your best players have to be your best leaders, or your hardest workers, rather. Your best players have to be your hardest workers. That was the case last year with Travis Hunter. That obviously appears to be the case this year with Jordan Seaton. And if I can sneak another one in
go
here.
for it, dude.
Speaking of Coach Livingston, I had a tweet. This is giving me flashbacks to after the post game Oklahoma State, where I was like, I had a tweet, and Uncle's like, you just kept going. Yeah, go check out his tweets. But no, I had a tweet today where I was like, this might be an unpopular opinion, and I'm curious your opinion and your thoughts on it, Unc. I think the best thing to happen to Colorado this offseason was that Robert Livingston was retained. Obviously, he interviewed for some NFL DC jobs, but I think his return leading that defense is arguably the most impactful thing that happened to this program this offseason. What are your thoughts? You vibing with that or not so much?
I'm totally rocking with it, but I got to throw a damn joke in there. I'm going to call it 1B. The best thing that happened to Colorado football is that Jerry Jones didn't steal Deion Sanders. After that,
Facts.
Robert Livingston turning down the many offers that he had is going well for this program. So much so that when you watch, I put up a day one recap this morning. When you watch that, you'll see Coach Prime stand in front of the team, and he announces to the team and thereby the world. He knows the camera's on. He said, "Rob Livingston turned down offers to stay with us. Rob Livingston is going to be a head coach one day. So I want him to come down here and address the team to get ready because he's going to be a head coach." Coach Prime is one of those guys, man, he wants the best for you. He understands that this guy is talented, has a lot to offer, and is young and growing up in this coaching tree and industry. And one day he's going to leave Colorado. And Coach Prime ain't hating on that or trying to water it down. He's embracing it. And he's challenging it. He puts Rob Livingston in situations, where he's growing more and more and getting more exposure because he knows what this guy brings to the table. But I'm with you, Scotty Deep Pockets. Having that guy come back to lead this defense, and as strong as that defense was, and now you got so many other people remaining juxtaposed to that. And so now the communication, is established. The roles are more established. But the opportunity is wide open. There are no starters on defense yet. Rob Livingston coached the safeties, and he'll tell you, we don't have a starting safety yet. This thing is completely wide open. And I love the way he molds the clay in that room for this defense. I love the way he communicates with Pat Shermer when they have to compete and they script these things to get the best out of practice. And most importantly, his relationship with the head coach, Deion Sanders, is why you'll have Coach Prime saying, "Hey, no, you are the head coach of the defense. Don't nobody come talk to me about nothing if you're on the defense side of the ball if you ain't talked to Rob first." It's just letting you know the standard is the standard, and Rob has helped set that standard. Get in line behind him.
I love it, man. He was extremely thankful yesterday, too, when asked about why he came back to Boulder in the press conferences. Another thing that stood out in the press conferences, Julian Lewis, we got to speak to him for the first time. And, man, just what an impressive kid. He was only up there for about 5 minutes, but we talked about this a lot of times. It's just so easy to forget that he's like 17 years old. He should be like finishing his junior year of high school right now. And he already goes up on the podium, sounds extremely mature, confident. And then we see the clips come out at practice. And this guy is absolutely slinging it, man. Unc, what can you tell us about what you saw from the quarterbacks in day one?
That we are blessed. We are fortunate. We could flip a coin. If we were playing next week, we could literally flip a coin because we got two guys that can absolutely throw dimes and absolutely have a command and control of this offense, have respect of the coaching staff and the folks on the offensive side of the ball that they're leading. But as it relates to Juju, he makes you forget his age. His poise, the way he carries himself in the building. I don't want to sit here and say that he doesn't have fun and you don't see him smiling. But when it's business time, man, it's business time. Like, this dude is like locked in. He ain't WTS. That's with the shit. If y'all don't know what WTS is, like, when it's ball time, man. And I think so many times through the cameras of Reach the People, of Well Off, or the Pregame Network, you get to know these players so much that when you see somebody being kind of quiet, you think like, oh man, maybe he don't want the cameras around. It's not that. He's like Shador. He's had cameras around all his life, but he's blind to it. Like, he's there to work and work out. And when all that's over, you'll see the more playful or 17-year-old side of him. But when it's football time, man, this guy carries himself like he's been in college 3 years. And you can really say from the athletic standpoint and commanded well, Falter, what you saw him out there doing with his reps. And I love the way they watch each other. Like, here's the elephant in the room. There's only one starting quarterback, and you've got two guys that can do it. And they warm up together. They're warm-up partners. They're workout partners.
Love that.
When one is taking reps, the other one's standing right there watching, taking notes. And then they just flip positions. And I can't wait to see as spring practices unfold, and including the spring game, because clearly they both will play in the spring game. I can't wait to see this QB battle, continue, because I'm telling you, man, you could flip a coin. You could draw straws. We are fortunate. We got two damn good quarterbacks in Colorado football.
Awesome, man.
Break ski?
Yeah, let's just take our next break and then dig into more from day one with Unc.
Let's dig.
Go ahead, Scott.
Man, I missed Arcade's Toyota. It's been too damn long since I've been inside the lovely comfortability of a Toyota. Hopefully, I'll be back soon in one, but if you're looking for a Toyota, it's a good time to copy one, man. Go visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you out here in Colorado. Auto Nation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of CU Athletics and the official vehicle of DNVR. Let's go places. Shout out Toyota.
Big shout out to Toyota. Also, shout out to our friends over at Factor. It's a busy time of year for us.
Oh, yeah.
We got the Buffs, just ripping off wins in the Big 12 tournament right now. We got spring football going. And then this little thing called the NFL Draft is also about a month away, which we're going to be pretty busy doing, right?
Yes, sir.
So busy. Do we have time to eat, Scotty?
Barely.
That's where Factor comes in. The homies at Factor with awesome, delicious, pre-portioned meals. And they come pre-made as well. So just pop them in the microwave, 2 minutes. Whether you're on a diet or you're just looking for some quick eats, Factor can fit all your dietary needs. Shout out to Leeds. They just scored, it sounds like.
Go crazy.
But they can help you, if you've got a busy schedule, man, and you just need a meal on the road or meal at work, Factor's the one to hit up. Eat smart with Factor. Get it started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast. And use that code FACTORPODCAST to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code FACTORPODCAST at factormeals.com/factorpodcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Shout out to the homies at Factor.
Unc. We were just talking a little bit about the QBs, obviously. Them boys going to have to be protected here in 2025. That's something Coach Shermer mentioned yesterday. He said he wants this quarterback room to be the healthiest room on the field, on the team this year. Obviously, that starts with the big boys up front. What did you see from that unit? I think we saw some Cy Chrysler, the Illinois transfer at right guard, maybe Monty, the Ole Miss transfer a little bit at tackle. As you said, there probably aren't any really starters right now aside from maybe a Jordan Seaton. But what did you see from the big boys up front on the offensive line?
Here's the first thing I saw. Big boys.
This is what I was going to ask you, because you said the same thing about the defensive line last year.
Yeah, this is the first thing I saw, that as a group, this is the biggest offensive line Coach Prime has had in his collegiate coaching career.
Let's go.
As an individual skill set, you're coming in with the best talent you've had in Coach Prime's collegiate coaching career. Now we just got to put it all together, blend it, find that best five that can work together, which that's a process that will go on through the spring, and frankly will go on through August as well, probably to about that first or second week of August. But I will tell you this, the upside is that it's much like the QB battle. You can scratch your head, you can flip a coin, you can draw straws, because you just don't have the significant gulf between a 1 and 2 or a 2 and 3 like you had before. Right. It's just be a matter of which group communicates the best, which group the quarterback has the best chemistry with. But there's another nuance to this thing that we can't discuss the offensive line without discussing the running back room, because Marshall Faulk will also tell you that it is priority one for them as well to step up and do their part and help out with the blocking assignments. As much as they're going to be involved in direct handoffs and passes, they're also going to have a unique responsibility with this offense, so much so that the running back coach in the running back room and the offensive line coaches, O-line room, they spend more time together than you've seen in the past, because they want to be on the same page of the playbook. And so there's a certain augmentation to this thing that is really bolstering for Colorado, to have the strongest offense line it had in the past 3 seasons. I'm looking forward to who it shakes out to be. We can pick names. The big guys as far as who's performed well before and that kind of thing. But I do think as the season gets closer, you're going to see some shaking up and different groups going out there together.
I want to ask you quickly about one guy on that offensive line who maybe we have some uncertainty with just health-wise. Phillip Houston obviously had a pretty significant injury at the end of last season. I think he was out there at practice but not participating. Do you have any update on kind of when he might be able to get back out on the field and participate in practice and whatnot?
I can't give you that direct update, but I can tell you what I told Phillip Houston and told Amarian Miller as he was standing there too.
You're right.
I told, hey guys, I don't talk behind nobody's back, so I'm going to say it to your face. Y'all are mutants. Y'all are X-Men. How are y'all standing here right now, which y'all went through no crutches?
For real.
Jump, like, it is unbelievable the rehab that Phillip Houston has done. Man, I remember the guy like in a wheelchair, to a walker, to crutches, to a cane. Now he's just walking around the building, squatting, picking up stuff. Like it's unbelievable what's he's going to mean to this team. And I was literally thinking of him, Scotty, when I was talking about the makeup of the offensive line, because you really can't factor him in yet, but he's going to be a damn factor. It's the same thing with Omarion Miller. You can watch, Well Off Reach the People, the pregame show, and you see these receivers doing their thing. Ain't back out there yet. Like this team is about to get better with players that it already has. So I love Philip Houston's stick-to-itiveness. I love his positive attitude, his energy, always upbeat. And even with the injury he went through, fought back. And to see him in that building, man, walking without any assistance whatsoever, it's just a matter of time before he's cleared to practice. But he is going to stake a claim on one of those positions on that line.
Thank you, sir. That's exactly what I needed to hear. Appreciate that.
It really was.
Count him out if you want to. You'll be wrong.
People trying to do it. People already trying to do it. But we'll see. Time will tell. I believe in Big Phil. I believe in Big Phil for sure.
That was crazy. Just watching, the videos from yesterday and seeing Philip actually dressed out to practice. I know he didn't practice, but I was like, wow, like you said, nothing wrapped around his knee or anything. So shout out to him. What can you tell us about this trio of offensive line coaches? How does that all work together? And what can you tell us about, what Gunner has looked like as his first practice?
He looked like he normally looks, man. I'm gonna say this, and folks have heard me say this on the morning run, but I'm gonna say it again. When I'm complimenting pizza, please don't twist it and say I'm pissing on chicken. So when I talk about Marshall Faulk and what he's brought to this table, everybody knows Coach Flea is my guy. And when I'm talking about Gunner White, and what he's doing right now, that's not a diss, to a former coach that left here. It's just simply stating that we are in damn good hands and there's nothing to worry about. So when I see a Gunner White out there doing this thing, you have to understand I've been seeing him doing this thing since he showed up at Jackson State as a volunteer. And Coach Prime will tell you guys, and I know you've heard him say it, you two have, and I'm talking to the audience, that don't judge people by their titles, judge them by the job that they did. Because everybody was scratching their heads wondering why we brought in a Rob Livingston, and he was just a DB coach at the Bengals, and look what he's done, because Coach Prime did his homework and found out Rob Livingston was running most of the damn defense. And when you look at Coach Prime's coaching since Jackson State to now, Gunner White has been in that offensive line room the whole time, and you better be knowledgeable enough to know that Coach Prime knows the job that Gunner White was doing then and is capable of doing more of. And so you see him as the tip of the spear. I sat in the offensive line meeting after the team meeting, and Andre Sherrod was in there. George Heckman was in there. But you know who's sitting up there at the first chair with their hand on the computer mouse? Gunner White. It's his room. It's absolutely his room. And when you go out to the practice field and they're running the drills, who's calling what we're about to do? Gunner White. But you see Andre Sherrod acting like it's his room. You see George Heckman acting like it's his room. You see them huddling up and figuring out what's next and going back into the film room and looking at what players didn't perform well in this position and taking notes. I believe this three-headed monster in this offensive line room. Imagine that trident spear like Aquaman has. The tip of that goes out a little bit further. That's that Gunner White in the middle. It's a little bit longer, but those two next to it would also does a lot of damage. And when you watch the pregame day one recap, you see all three of them actively coaching the offensive line, but not overshadowing each other or trying to take somebody's turf. Gunner White wants them involved in coaching, and they know that they have that leeway to coach because they're not saying anything he wouldn't say because they've been on the same page communicating before practice.
Love it, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's genius to me what Coach Prime has done with this coaching staff, particularly the offensive line, having that trio, because, again, you got to start 5 guys on that offensive line. You're probably playing 6 to 8 guys on that offensive line. You got 15 damn dudes in the room. It really behooves you to have multiple coaches, multiple voices, all kind of being one voice, but multiple guys to make sure everybody is seen and heard in that room. So I think it's smart, and it's another feather in the cap of Coach Prime's coaching staff building ability for sure.
Scotty, speaking of smart, our right man, Dukes to Scoop, complimented me this morning for my ACT word of the day when I used ancillary in the sentence.
Ooh, I like that.
I'm going to share my trophy with you because you just dropped behooves on them.
Honestly, I ain't gonna lie. Whenever I see you, I feel like I just got to sneak behoove into the conversation just because I know you like that, and I you know, if you like it, I love it.
I'm never gonna not love when behooved is working its way in the conversation.
Hey, also from yesterday, I believe this was from yesterday at the meeting. It was captured, I believe, on the pregame show, well off and whatnot. Coach Prime had each of the position coaches send a player from their position group up in front of the room to kind of lay out why they were going to have a good day, why their position group was going to have a good day that day. And obviously there were some guys we expected, right? Like Draylon was up for the receivers. DJ was up for the corners. But a couple of guys, I was a bit surprised. I was just a bit surprised. Jaheim Otis, some young guys for the defensive line, representing the defensive line. Reggie Hughes representing the linebackers.
Well, okay, Scotty, this goes back to what Coach Liv said yesterday, though. When I asked him in the press conference, who are you looking for in leaders? And he mentioned, Arden and some of the returning guys. But he said he was looking at the transfers to come in and lead that defense.
He did. Unc, what are your thoughts on that in terms of those two guys in particular? Maybe you're just some of these new guys who have already maybe made their presence felt after transferring into Colorado this offseason.
So let me set the stage for it this way, guys. We've talked about how this team is a better team than last year. And the world goes crazy when they hear you say that because, man, my God, you had Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders. How can it be a better team? The reason it's a better team, and Coach Prime, Coach Livingston, my mind, and I'm sure y'all's minds too, is that not only do you still have high-level talent, number 2 and number 3 are just as capable as number 1. And that's something that you haven't had in the past 2 football seasons at Colorado. There was some drop-off on D-line, O-line, or
yes,
D. Like there was some drop-off. Let's just be honest about it. Well, the reason you can see guys up there in the front of that room when coaches were asked to pick somebody is that the margin of error now is so small that there's a guy, Scotty, that you would probably think, because you follow the program, you cover the program, you got deep pockets, you're like, okay, well, he's going to pick that name. But maybe that name was just a little late for breakfast the other day.
Well.
And something as simple as being a little late for breakfast because the guy at number 2 is just as damn good as you could be the reason you sitting your ass down and not starting.
Yep.
When Coach talks about discipline and being on time and all these other things, it comes into play now more than ever because no one has that margin of error that, hey, I'm just that dude, and so I know I put my way back in.
Not doing that.
You gotta show up every day, ready to work, on time, proper dress, proper attitude. When people even ask me about the QB battle, I don't think it's going to come down to accuracy, arm strength, command of the offense, who the receiver rooms trust. I think it's going to come down to class attendance, better grades, locker room activities. Is your locker clean? Were you on time for treatment? Did you show up for treatment? Because athletic-wise, it's tit for tat.
Right.
Yeah.
But discipline-wise, the details that Coach Prime is looking for, that's going to be the separator for O-line, QB, linebackers, receivers, you name it. So that's the long way of me telling you when the coaches were told pick somebody, they pick somebody that you didn't see because you don't see the things that occur that make somebody else not get picked that day. Right. And it's a call to them that I don't care who you are, where you transfer from, how many stars you have, what your NIL is. If you're not checking the box on discipline with character, you're going to be sitting down.
Love it. Last thing I got on practice from yesterday, Unc. I mean, the picture really of the day, Coach Prime and Marshall Faulk just out there standing on the field. And it's really like when that hits you, like, this is real, man. And like Sapp wasn't even in that picture. There's 3 gold jackets out there. Just what can you tell us about Marshall Faulk's first day as Colorado's running backs coach? You
can't tell us his first day. He is adapted, moving around the building well. I had the blessed opportunity, man. I will never, take things for granted of literally being the only media outlet sitting in the staff meeting when Marshall stood up and introduced himself to the staff for the first time, and to be in his running back room meeting right before you take the field, and you hear him talking to the running backs and the things he's saying, and they're so succinct and so direct and so straight up coach, not just coach talk, but like I'm trying to solve a problem and explaining to you the problem I'm trying to solve. You forget it's Marshall damn Faulk. I had to remind myself, like, oh man, that dude has a gold jacket. Like, he's not just in here coaching. Like, he knows
Right.
what he's talking about. And there was a situation where he was communicating with Michael Pollock, Coach Pollock over special teams, about running backs and what they could help service on special teams. And he was saying, man, one of the biggest lessons I had to learn in my professional playing career, that stop worrying about carries and worried about touches. Because if we can work you into special teams and work you into a receiver role and work you into handing the ball off, it's the touches you want to look for, the opportunities, not just 5 carries this or 7 carries that. When you watch the pregame footage, you'll see him with the running backs, and you can hear the audio on this, and he's walking them through how not to fumble anymore. And he said, "Man, look, take it from me. Smaller guy like some of y'all. I had to learn if you put your thumb right here in your chest and you keep your thumb right there, there's no way you can fumble the ball." And he showed them an example of it. And you saw this light bulb go off in everybody's head like, why has nobody ever told us that before?
Right.
I've been playing running back since Pee Wee ball, and nobody's ever told me that it's my thumb placing it on my chest that would guarantee my elbow is down or up. And you could just see them adapting and listening to them and thriving off of it because they know this dude has a gold jacket.
Oh, God.
You have anything else on practice, Scotty?
I just got one more for you because we talked about it a little bit yesterday on the show, but maybe the number one thing that Coach Robert Livingston said yesterday that made my eyebrows raise a little bit was when he brought up R.J. Johnson and said that he loves the look in R.J. Johnson's eyes and that he's excited for him, this spring, and especially coupled with your idea coming from the coaches that there are no starters just yet, especially with obviously Cam leaving that secondary and Travis and Shiloh, obviously. That, like I said, that made my ears perk up a little bit when Coach Livingston said that he loves the look in R.J. Johnson's eyes. What have you seen from him after he obviously had his first year, played the most special team snaps on the team last year, which I think is not nothing. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's how you earn trust amongst the coaching staff. What can you tell us about RJ and that defensive backfield?
Man, you nailed it. You nailed it right there. Those special teams reps. I've learned I can trust you. I've learned that no job is too small from you. And I know I can call on you to do what I need done, and you're going to do it and do it aggressively and enthusiastically and be coachable. I think one thing about this team, having had a Travis Hunter on defense and a Shedeur Sanders on offense, you can't help but look for the next guy that reminds you of them. Whether they have the speed, the talent, or whatever, that's not what I'm talking about. I mean, remind you of them. It's the same thing like with Cameron Silver and Craig. We could talk about all of his assets as a ball player, but what reminds you of him is that leadership, is that hunger, is that drive. So whether somebody else actually has the talent that he has is one thing, but do you have that hunger, that drive, and that motor? And I think that's what Rob Livingston is seeing in some of these guys now is like, hey, we're not far enough down the road yet, but you remind me of somebody.
Mm-hmm.
The way you walk in the room and the way you sit down early and the way you already got your notepad out and the way you go about your business of being coachable, you remind me of somebody. And I think that's what Rob Livingston is not only seeing, but he's also trying to encourage with his words to others that, hey, man, find you somebody to be like. And you said it earlier, Scotty, although the positions are different. Here you got a true sophomore a year later quoting Cameron Silver Craig in a similar situation. And that's what you're looking for in the spring. I don't care, how fast you're running or did you do this or do that. How hungry are you? Do you love football? Do you want to be here? Because we're going to find out between now and April 19th and then again before August 29th, who wants to be here? Mm-hmm. And when Livingston sees a guy like that, he sees a guy that wants to be here. And that's going to be an emerging leader on the team.
I can see that for sure. I'd love to hear that.
Awesome, Monk. We'll catch up for day 2 tomorrow. Something else I want to talk about. We'll push the Shedeur draft fits thing to another day. Adam Rittenberg of ESPN, he wrote this article today. Teams poised to break through into the CFP, kind of like what Indiana did last year. They were an anomaly. Kurt Cignetti comes in first year and really turns that program around. But they obviously hadn't appeared in the CFP before. They haven't won a conference title in the past 10 years, obviously probably longer than that. And they had a winning percentage below .550 during that 4-team college football era. Colorado also falls under that umbrella. And Adam Rittenberg included Colorado in this article of teams who could be basically the next Indiana this year, teams who could break into the CFP who weren't traditional, national title contenders. My transition is I feel like the standard, it was, talked about last year, but this year there's no mistake about it. I mean, I think this coaching staff and this recruiting staff think they have built a college football playoff caliber type team. And we have this quarterback competition. There's questions to be answered, but just talking basically what you said off the top. I mean, they're bigger. There's already an expectation of the standard at Colorado. And this is just what happens, in year 3 of a program that you're building up from the bottom, basically. Do you think that's the standard in year 3, making the CFP?
It is absolutely the standard. It's not just the standard, it's the goal. Last year's goal was to get Miss Peggy to a bowl game. Mission accomplished. This year's goal, in Coach Prime's mouth to everybody's ears, and now y'all can hear it, directly from me quoting Coach Prime. This year's goal is to win the Big 12 championship. Anything short of that, we fail. What happens when you win the Big 12 championship? You are in the CFP.
Yep.
We're not coming from a conference, that at least in 2025 is going to have 3 or 4 people represented, in the top 12. That's just not going to happen. The Big 12 seat in the CFP is going to be because you won the championship, right? And look how close Colorado was last year, to getting that opportunity to play in the Big 12 championship. And I'm just going to tell you guys, if you give me a Coach Prime coach team and it's playing in Jerry World, you're going to win that damn thing. So, I just got to get there, all right? I don't care who I'm playing. I got to get there. We could be playing the Cowboys themselves. I got to get there, and I'm gonna bet on the Coach Prime team in that building every damn day of the week. Having said that, let's look. Take a serious look at just this team dynamic. We've articulated this show and in Scotty Deep Pockets articles that this is a better team now. You can't convince me, and I know I'm biased and maybe drink a little Kool-Aid every day, but even with my unbiased lenses, you can't tell me this is not the best coaching staff in college football.
It has to be. It's the most unique by far, but it also is got experience and now proven, a track record from the last 2 years from multiple of these guys, including Robert Livingston last year.
Yeah, you ain't gonna get no argument from us on that tip. Like you said, I think Robert Livingston to me is one of the best defensive coordinators in all of college football. You know what I'm saying? You got an OC who's coached in the NFL for damn near 20 years, and not to mention the other, Hall of Famers and the Domital Pecos, the Kevin Mathises. You know what I'm saying? It is for sure.
Now, when I put that all together, and I know on any given Saturday, and we got a couple of Fridays as well, anything could happen with a ball bouncing some way that's not in your favor. I understand that. But this team is built to win the Big 12. That is the goal. The goal is to get to the Big 12 championship and win it. And every coaching hire, every piece of equipment that Smitty orders, everything that Coach Prime says and empowering the coordinators, everything that Coach, I call him Coach, but Chef Solomon feeds us, everything that we're doing is driven toward going to the Big 12 championship and winning it. And so that answers the CFP question right there, because you can do what the Indiana did and you can do what other teams did. Hell, you almost did it last year just on a fluke.
I mean, coming into Colorado made a lot of people eat their words last year, right? A lot of people thought this was like a 4-win team or whatever. They damn near won the Big 12. They were in contention all the way to the end, basically the last game of the Big 12 calendar, in BYU. Was it BYU Houston?
Yeah,
Either way. So. Year 3, I think, is when it's really – people are really going to feel dumb for what they've said over the last 2 years, because so many people thought, year 1, what are they going to do, win 0 games again, blah, blah, blah. They didn't see the constant stacking and what we call the golf ball theory, what RK and I did last offseason, how what Coach is doing with the transfer portal is he's just making the roster a little bit better every single transfer portal period, but that keeps on stacking. And so now you have this team where it's at right now, to where they will be Big 12 contenders. And frankly, they do probably have the best roster in the conference, just top to bottom, all positions considered. So I'm 100% with you, man.
It's scientifically in the geosciences, I think it's called terraform, where you can change a landscape and make it something completely different from what it was or really is underneath. I mean, you look at Las Vegas and the Strip. It's a damn desert. But somebody went out of their way to say, you know what? I'm gonna build an oasis in this desert. So when you talk about your golf ball analysis, which I think is spot on. The other thing that I think we have to recognize in that equation, that from an organization standpoint, particularly with the coaching changes and those hires, you're making Colorado week after week, month after month, year after year, a more attractive place to play. So whereas you had in year one go out and find these golf balls, year 2 and 3, these golf balls are finding you because you've
Yes.
made yourself be a place that big time players want to play because they see how close you were and like, man, look at the attention, look at the spotlight, every game on TV. I could go there and make a difference. I could go there and change the trajectory of my family versus going somewhere else. That's what you've created through this terraforming with Coach Prime, that this is the Las Vegas Strip of college football. You want to be here.
Yep.
Oh,
love
you
it, man.
just taught me something. I go like, what is that T word?
Terra, Terra, terraforming.
I never heard that one before.
Come on, Scotty.
Swear. Hey,
It behooves you to learn more sciences.
hey, man, I get excited when I get to learn new words. Unc just taught me something. I'm lit. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's get to the chat.
They come
Get
for
some-
football, but they learn big words. For real. The DNVR pregame show.
Eric asks, "Is the bus coming back for the 2025 season?"
Asked that. I got asked that just 30 minutes ago, and I said,
Well, Jake, is it?
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Between you and I, chat, and whoever's watching, it's all good. It's all good.
I want to see who makes that 100%. I ain't talking about flying to Ohio and hopping in. I want to see who goes from Boulder to West Virginia, though.
Oh, Lord.
We'll have that discussion, I'm sure.
Oh, Lord.
Eric again. Unc, what was the vibe and atmosphere like without Travis, Shador, and Shiloh there at practice? Any difference?
No difference at practice. But let me tell you a personal experience. And my antenna was up for it. Let me put that disclaimer out. I was looking for something to feel different. So when I walked into the team meeting room on Tuesday for practice one, and I just did this precursory scan of the room, you didn't feel anything vibe off or anything missing or that kind of deal. So I could look at the front row and I see the new quarterbacks and some of the returning was sitting there, but it didn't feel like the room was off kilter because, Shador wasn't there. Where I particularly sit, I sit between the offensive line players and the defensive coaches. This is probably about row 4, I think. What looked different from where I sit, and then it really just made my eyebrows go up to what we lost. Where I personally sit was right behind the receivers. And to see Travis, LeJohntay, and Jimmy not sitting in front of me, I was like, oh, shit. we got something missing. But man, when you hear Jason Phillips, the coach of the wide receivers, and you see the players that we got, well as the Miller brothers, no relation. Coach Phillips said it to the team. He said, man, here's the deal. We got a lot of production to replace on offense, particularly in the receiver room. But I know the talent in this room and the numbers that they're in this room. We got all we need right now. And that's what we're going to figure out this spring is who we can count on to replace the numbers that we're losing. And you just felt that sense of like calm and comfort that like, oh man, it's glaring that this room has changed from a person and their talents that they brought to the table. But then when you start looking at who else is in the room and it entered it, this is flat out ass a better team in totality.
Totally, man.
OT.
Yes, we are headed to overtime. If you are watching us on Samsung TV, Xfinity, all those cool things, head on over to thednvr.com. We're going to wrap up the show over there. Super chat from Jeremiah.
Real quick before we get to Jeremiah's super chat, you mentioned Coach Phillips there. I feel like he don't get the love.
No, he
don't
doesn't.
get as much love as he deserves. I think.
Yeah, he doesn't. And I'm going to tell you this, he doesn't want it.
I bet. And that's also what makes him that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's one of those dudes like, hey, man, keep my name out your mouth either way. I'm working.
I'd go to war for that man. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
Coach
He'll tell you flowers are for Valentine's Day. He don't want them. He just goes about his business, man. The relationship that he has with Coach Primus. Let me tell you this. Here's how that relationship started. When they were both with the Falcons, and Jay Field was with the second unit. Of course, they're going against the ones and he was a receiver. Who's the one on defense? It was Coach Prime, Deion Sanders. And all the other twos would have like their brother-in-law deal, like, oh, I'm gonna take it easy on the day. Coach Prime would tell you he never had to tell Jason Phillips to bring it. Like he brought it every day at practice and gave him game time real reps, and they would compete. They had a money jar, you name it, and they know each other's work ethic and drive, and that's what he brings to that room. And I'm with you, Scotty. Last year, the receivers and all that they accomplished, I think there was a lot of rightly so credit given to those unique individual talents, but we didn't talk about enough who harnessed that talent and got them to all work together. And somebody had to take a back seat one game to somebody else's other. Jason Phillips, man, the wide receivers coach, does a phenomenal job at that. But don't tell nobody because he don't want y'all talking.
And you mentioned it, his relationship with Coach Prime, like they really go way back. And it was hilarious. I think it's just yesterday, I saw it on a couple of videos during practice when Coach Prime was, kind of coaching Quanell through catching punts and whatnot. And Coach Prime was like, I'm the best to ever do this punt return stuff. And Coach Phillips like, top five. You top five. I don't know about the best.
Yeah, he dishes it back. Right.
It started with Jay Field saying, hey, listen to him now. He one of the best that ever did it.
Right.
Coach was like, no, I'm the best.
Oh, yeah, right.
And then even Coach had to come back and say, no, it's really Devin Hester.
It is for sure. As a Bears fan, Devin Hester for sure. But yeah, Coach Prime definitely right there.
You'll love this, Scotty. And one thing I'll tell everybody, man, is you're out there watching stuff, reach the people, Will Off Media pregame. Like we rarely have anywhere near 100% the same content. It was probably about 20% the same.
Right.
So you get a unique lens because we're all at different phases of practice. You will love this, Scotty. Go to the portion of day one, Coach Hart and his linebacker drill. They were expressly working on the peanut punch.
Oh, okay.
How about that?
Tillman action, punching that ball out.
I mean, that's the Chicago Bear legend. I'm a cornerback legend. A legend at that position for sure.
Straight up.
That's dope. I'm going to definitely check that out. Appreciate that.
No, I mean, if there's one gripe I could have over the defense last year is they maybe didn't generate turnovers the way they did the year before, which in 2023, they were one of the best teams in the nation, at least in the Pac-12, at creating turnovers.
But you know what's crazy, bro? I pretty much agree with you, bro. They led the Big 12 in forced fumbles.
Did they really?
Yes.
I did not know that. That's
like,
insane.
I agree with you. It seemed like, they weren't getting a ton of turnovers, but the turnovers were there. They were getting them. So that...
Maybe it's just the first 4 weeks again, like the sacks thing, where it's like they came in bunches and it wasn't just right out the gate. So that's maybe why it felt a little bit down. All right, let's get to these super chats and get out of here. Jeremiah says, I don't care if he threw 10K yards. Juju is a junior in high school. I'm not throwing him to the Wolves over a proven starter versus Georgia Tech. Delaware, sure, but not week one. Stone me if you want to, RK. We got a long way to go, Jeremiah. We don't got to dig in trenches on the sides of the quarterback battle yet.
No, there's no hill to die on at this point. Like we got a long battle ahead of us. Let's go.
Yeah. And again, like what you said, like we're blessed. Like we should be thankful. Like the level of talent in this quarterback room. If you didn't watch those clips yesterday, it's apparent, man. Let's just see who the best man is really at this point. I mean, I can't be upset either way. I've said that from the beginning. But
period. Good spot to be in. Yeah,
definitely. What's up, Kev? He says, what a blessing it is to have not one, not two, but 3 Hall of Famers on one coaching staff. Watching the well-off practice yesterday, Farrakhan and Harge are ready.
Facts,
Quanell,
Kev.
man.
Yeah.
I've been trying to tell y'all, Quanell's different.
Harge too.
Yeah.
They was both out there making plays, elevating for the football. Hey, you love to see it. There's just receiving court nice, man.
And that was day one. I tell you this in the offensive meeting, Coach Sherman said, now what's the nickname he likes to go by? And one coach said Q for 6. And Rashad, the assistant receiver coach under Jay Field, said, no, just call him Q. He ain't scored 6 yet.
Ooh, make him earn it.
Gotta humble him a little bit early on. Facts.
Love it, man.
Oh, man.
All right, we're going to get out of here. Unc, great to see you, man. I'm excited to see you and catch up with you tomorrow. We got plenty more spring ball content coming.
Absolutely. So we'll do a post, practice thing like Thursday, like we would typically do, and then like we can run this back on Friday for a full recap if y'all want to.
I'm so down. Absolutely.
Sounds
RK will be back then too. Alrighty, Unc.
No, I don't want to be with RK.
Just ruined it.
Appreciate
I
you,
will
Unc.
say this. I was going to mention doing the tour right after the Toyota ad read.
Yeah.
I tried to do y'all dirty the last time we were in that beautiful Toyota, the 4 of us. I tried to leave y'all with something when I got out the car.
I
got caught up in my khakis, and I took it with me. And so y'all didn't get to experience it.
Unbelievable. This guy.
Oh man.
I'm sure you'll return the favor at some point, though.
Right.
Yeah, it just speaks to the technology of a Toyota. Like who knew they had a park car, you know?
Wow, this is why you're the best in the biz, Unc. You managed to somehow turn that into an ad. That's incredible.
That's hilarious.
Hey man, it is what it is. And hey, you know, we've been dropping some new content, so be sure to check out the morning run. We're doing that 3 days a week. Got a lot of stuff coming at y'all. And of course, Thee DNVR Pregame Partnership is up and rolling again. So it's football time in America, man.
Yes, sir. Cannot wait. All right, appreciate you, Unc. We'll see you tomorrow. Go check out the Pregame Show and DNVR on YouTube. Plenty more coming. Let's go Buffs.
Let's go, Bulls.
We all silly like the mayor.